Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to our 6th mission with By Stealth in Sea. We've got 4 missions to go and we're trailing history by 12 points. But there's a lot of reasons for optimism. We've upgraded our starting position for this mission because we're going back to Gibraltar, which means nothing's going to be broken on our SLC units as we start out this mission. We're bringing 2 experienced crews out of 3. To be fair, they haven't accomplished anything on their previous missions. They actually haven't even seen an enemy ship, but working against us, the harbor in Gibraltar now has shore-based mortars, and they're pretty accurate. So maybe optimism isn't quite the right word for this mission, but there's a decided lack of fatalism. I would call it maybe even we're hopeful as we go into this one. By the way, we kind of ran out of volunteers. Most everybody's been captured and killed. So if you are already a volunteer or you want to volunteer, drop your name down in the comments below because we could use more people probably right after this mission. So let's meet our 3 hopeful crews on these missions. Aboard SLC number 1, Fulleri and Ape, survivors of the catastrophe that was mission 5 in Alexandria. Aboard SLC number 2, Walise and Lille. They've survived 2 missions, including one in the harbor of Alexandria. Aboard SLC number 3, fresh and new to our operation, Davide and Ray will join us for their very first mission. Serious talk. We're losing to history by 12 points. Now, our historical counterparts only got 2 points on this mission. That's what we call opportunity with a capital O. After this, our historical counterparts actually do pretty well. So if we're going to close ground and have any chance of beating history, we need a big day today. So let's go take a look at Gibraltar Harbor and see what our targets of opportunity are. Here's a look at Gibraltar Harbor on the night of December 8th, 1942. Our SLCs will start here in the southeast corner of the map. They'll be working their way to the north, trying to gain entrance to the harbor. We have some big targets of opportunity here in the corner, with the battleship Nelson and the carriers Furious and Formidable tucked away in the east side of the harbor here. If we can't get past the entrances and make our way into the harbor, on the west side, we have some secondary targets of some light cargo ships. Now, the defenses have been increased. The British have shore-based mortars now, which means that anytime one of our SLCs ends a movement phase in here, they get hit with these mortars. They can stun and kill us, and their attack is pretty effective. The submerged, they only need a 7 or greater to hit. If we're on the surface, it's a very deadly 6 or greater. So we're going to want to kind of figure out some way to get past those once we get close to the torpedo nets. Working in our favor, 2 missions ago we picked up the Ultera starting position, which is an Italian tanker much closer to the Gibraltar base. That means that we're going to start with no breakage on our SLC units. It also means that we have 3 breathing tokens, and each breathing token amounts to 1 reroll of the dice. Time for talking is done. Let's get started. It's 12:30 a.m. Our 3 SLCs are going to approach. We have to roll for a fault check on the first one. Let's see what we get. SLC number 2, manned by Walise and Lille, have the first fault. Let's go over there and pull a card and see what happens. Now, we've had no improvements to our SLCs between this mission and the last one because we only got 3 victory points in the last mission. To be another reason for us to hopefully do well on this mission so we can start to upgrade these SLCs a little bit more. They're starting to get a bit antiquated. Our first fault for Walise and Lille is, the dreaded wetsuit fault. This is not good. However, we recently upgraded these, so that means the repair check now is a 4. However, if we fail it, we have to discard the SLC token on the wetsuit, and Walise and Lille are instantly stunned and have to start the game stunned. This is a big roll for us to start off. Come on, we need a positive mission here. 4 or greater. 6. Excellent. So, Walise and Lille repair their wetsuits. They do not suffer the fate of getting stunned by the wetsuits. Our upgrades pay off. Let's go down to our first action move. I think our rough strategy is going to be to have our 3 SLCs branch off in 3 different directions at some point so that we don't get them all clustered together, which tends to make it pretty easy for us to get hit by enemy patrol craft. So ideally, I think we're going to try to send one SLC through this torpedo net, a second SLC through this torpedo net, and a third SLC, whichever one perhaps is struggling the most, to come over here and try to hit one of these cargo ships. That might change, and I'm not sure which one will go. It kind of depends on how we can turn, but let's get started. We're going to start actually with SLC number 2, and we're going to be a little bit bold. We're going to try to expend 1 action point to move 3 hexes forward on the surface. That would allow them then to turn and head right towards that closest torpedo net. So they're going to stay on the surface and then submerge. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to be able to crack this maneuver. Get a 5. Excellent. Walliche and Lille take the risky move. They stay on the surface going straight ahead. Now, I think we're going to have them try to submerge, which is the same thing here. Basically, this needs a 4 on the pilot skill. That would put them in great position and off to a good start. We need another 4, 5, or 6. A 4! Excellent! Walliche and Lille, our most experienced crew, still alive. They've survived 2 missions, showing not a turn, a submerge, showing everybody how it's done as they scamper ahead a great distance and then submerged adroitly after, remind you, fixing their wet gear fault. We're off to a good start here. Now, let's have SLC number 1 be a little bit more conservative. They're going to expend both points and they are going to submerge as well. So they're not going to risk it here. Since the gods are favoring us though, let's have SLC number 3 try the same thing. We're going to try a full move ahead with a roll of a 4, 5, or 6 for them. So this is the same thing that Walliche and Lille did. I'm feeling like maybe this is a special day. No, it's not a special day. They get a 2 and they fail. However, they're going to expend their next action point and try to dive. They need a 4, 5, or 6. They get a 4. Excellent. Okay, so no harm done because they have successfully dived. Very good start for us. We've got all 3 of our SLCs submerged, and Walliche and Lille have forged ahead to get 3, kind of cover some great distance, and they've repaired their fault. All of our SLCs are functioning perfectly thanks to our starting card. We're in good shape. Let's go now for the enemy harbor detection. I'm going to do that off camera and show the results. Good news for our heroes. We don't get spotted by searchlights, and patrol craft don't spot us either. A perfect first half hour for this mission. Let's now move on to the 1 a.m. turn. We're going to roll to see which one of our SLCs has a fault. Hopefully we can get lucky and repair this again. SLC number 2. Walliche and Lille struggling again with another fault. Let's go check to see what happens. All right, Walliche and Lille say, bring it on. Break our SLC. We can fix anything. Let's see what they get for a fault here. We get a battery fault. Okay, now that's not too bad because they can have 2 battery faults without having any degradation in performance. If you get 2 battery faults, the SLC is stopped. Now they do get a repair check here on a 5 or a 6. They would successfully repair it and they can still keep their fully functioning battery. Oh, look at that! Walliche and Lille are on fire! They fixed the battery, no problem, and it remains at full strength. Let's go now to our 1 o'clock action phase in the harbor. All right, let's go to SLC number 1 with Fileri and Ape. They are going to move ahead, expending both of their action points and move ahead 2. Doing pretty well so far, nothing's broken. For SLC number 2, however, for Walliche and Lille, let's have them be a little bit more aggressive again. They're going to try to make a submerged turn, which is a piloting move roll. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to succeed on this to turn. If they don't, we're going to try to have them go straight ahead a couple too. So let's go. We need a 4, 5, or 6 to turn. A 5! They are so on fire. They make the turn and they head towards the torpedo nets. Let's see if we can get a roll here now. To move a full move, they need another 4, 5, or 6. They can't do it again, can they? No, they can't. Okay, well, that was still, we made a turn, which is good. Now let's have SLC number 3. This is Davide and Ray on the, whoops, move them around a little bit. There we go. Let's have Davide and Ray stay submerged and expend all their action points to move 2 squares ahead. Now let's go to the enemy detection. I'll check the results and we'll be right back. So our luck doesn't hold. SLC number 3, Davide and Ray are spotted by searchlights, and SLC number 2, Walliche and Lille are spotted by a patrol craft. So both SLCs are detected. That will end this turn. We flip this over to make it in its ready state. Now we have to be a little bit careful now what we do, but because they're both submerged and they're functioning well, theoretically, if they don't break, they can kind of still move and lose this detection, which would work out pretty well. Let's go now to our 1:30 a.m. turn. We're going to roll to see what breaks on our SLCs. A 2! Waliche and Lille have the SLC. This was the same as the last mission too, wasn't it? SLC number 2 kept breaking. Let's see what happens. This is not a good time to have something break because the patrol craft's right in front of them. This is kind of a big one here. Let's see what we get. Breathing gear fault. Okay, that's actually not too bad because we have 3 extra breathing gear tokens. So if anything, we can sustain that. This is a big test of Waliche and Lille's repair skill, however, because they need a 6 to fix this. Now, they have not failed. Well, they did fail on one of their movements there, but they fixed 2 things so far. Can they fix a third with a 6? A 3? No, they cannot. So we pop off one of the breathing gear tokens for them. That will remove one of their extra die rolls there, and that's the first thing they've failed to fix. They do seem to have an SLC that is not performing very well, however, but their repair skills have serviced us well so far. Let's go back to the harbor and see what our actions are. Alrighty, I think we want to be a little bit conservative, but we can see that we're actually in fairly good shape now. SLC number 2 is lined up perfectly to get to the entrance of the harbor up here. SLC number 3, Davide and Ray, are lined up perfectly to get to the other entrance of the harbor over here. And then we can have Fileri and Ape continue on and head for the cargo ships to the west. So let's do that. With our move, we're going to have Fileri and Ape move straight ahead, heading towards those cargo ships. We're going to have Waliche and Lille move underneath this patrol ship straight ahead, and that will remove the detection token because they've been submerged. We're going to also take a little bit of a risk here, but not significantly, I suppose. We're going to have Davide and Ray move straight ahead too. They're going to go underneath this patrol craft here. Now, that's not ideal because the patrol craft potentially could stay where they are, and if they get detected, well, yeah. I mean, we have to take some risks, right? So Davide and Ray head underneath the patrol craft and cross their fingers that they don't get detected. Let's go now to the detection phase and see what happens. I'll do this off screen and then I'll bring the results up as we go. The fates shine on us. Searchlights don't spot us. No patrol crafts can figure out where we are. We've lost detection. However, we still have to randomly move patrol craft number 1. Now, with the roll of a 7 or 8, it stays where it is. With the roll of a 2, it comes right after us, after Waliche and Lille. So we want anything except a 2, 7, or 8, that's kind of somewhat of a big ask here. Hopefully we get a good roll. A 3! Excellent! That means the patrol craft slides here to the northeast, leaves us alone. We don't get attacked. That brings us to the end of the 1:30 a.m. turn. Let's go to the 2 o'clock turn. As always, we'll start the turn here with a roll to see which one of our SLCs breaks. Of course, that's 4 in a row. What are the odds? Not very good. Let's see what breaks on Waliche and Lille's SLC this time. All right, so they have their 4th problem in 2 hours. Battery fault. Oh, so second time they've had a battery fault. Let's see if they can get their wrenches out again and fix it. We need a 5 or a 6. A 1. They've lost their repair magic. Okay, no worries though. We lose that battery fault. The battery core. We still have 1 left. So the battery's down to 50%. It's still fully functioning. But if it happens again, they're immobile in the water. In which case we would probably burn up some of those breathing tokens to try to fix it. But let's go back to the harbor and let's see what we can do in our 2 a.m. turn. All right, we're going to try a little bit more of a movement strategy here. So we're going to have SLC number 1 spend 1 point and move ahead straight ahead. Now it can use its 2nd point, but it needs a skill check of a 4, 5, or 6 to move ahead full 2 more squares. So this is kind of seems like something we should have thought of sooner, but this gives us a little bit better of a chance to move farther and faster. So we need a 4, 5, or a 6 for Fileri and Ape to execute this maneuver. They get a 3, they fail, they stay where they are. Let's do the same thing with SLC number 3, Davide and Ray. They move 1 forward. They're going to roll. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to successfully execute a double speed move. They get a 4, so they pull it off. So Davide and Ray performing pretty well. They are getting close to the entrance to this harbor here. Let's have SLC number 2, Waliche and Lille, try the same thing. They're going to surge ahead 1. Actually, we are not going to do that with them because you can notice that they're right towards the edge of the harbor here. And we don't want to end our turn right here, because if we do that, we're going to get attacked by those shore-based mortars. What I'd like to do is have them risk going forward 2 squares, get there, and then try to see if they can sneak inside the torpedo net before the mortars recognize they're there. So what we're going to do is we instead are going to have them take both of their action points and move ahead 2. Then the next turn, they can move ahead 1 and try to do a skill check to get inside the torpedo net in the same turn. It's not a likely skill check. They need a 6 to pull it off, but it still gives us better than 100% chance that they're going to get hit by those shore-based mortars, which are actually pretty deadly. Let's go now to the defense reaction and see what happens in this 2 a.m. turn. 2 a.m. turn, the SLC gods shine on us once more as we are neither detected by searchlights nor patrol craft. So now we have to move this patrol craft here, which is on the board. We're going to do that randomly. Let's see what happens here for that one. It gets an 8, which means it stays exactly where it is. So now we're going to go to the 2:30 a.m. phase, and let's see what breaks on SLC2 this time. Seriously? That's 5 2s in a row. I mean, there's only 3 numbers on a die, so it's not a 6-sided die, but what gives with SLC number 2? Waliche and Lille, let's go check. Gosh, this is ridiculously bad fortune for them. Hopefully we get something gentle here. We haven't actually had well, the wetsuit one was good, but they fixed it. SLC transmission fault. Okay, this is bad because a transmission fault means they immediately have to pop up to the surface. So they get a repair check of a 5 or a 6 on this. We might even, I'm thinking we might even want to try to burn an extra one here because well, they could submerge. Yeah. Okay, let's see what happens first. Get a 5 or a 6 to repair it. Yes, they fix it. So they survive the transmission fault. Waliche and Lille making some heroic repair moves here and some maneuvering. This could be our day. It's looking really, really good. Let's go now to our 2:30 action phase and see what we can do. All right, so I realized a problem here we have. If we try to send SLC number 3 through the torpedo net here, they're going to have to come here. Then they're going to have to, well, they're getting hit by the shore-based mortars. They're going to have to try to turn and then go inside. That's going to delay that time they spend there, and we want to try to get through this as quickly as possible because chances are we're going to get hit by mortars. It's just going to be ugly here. So I think what we're going to try to do then instead is we're going to SLC number 1 come up here and turn because they'll have a straight run at the torpedo nets, and we're going to send SLC number 3 over to the cargo ships on the west side of the harbor over here. So with that in mind, let's see if SLC number 1 can perform a full speed moving ahead 2 with a roll of a 4, 5, or 6 on their navigational skill. They get a 4. Excellent. They get it. Now that leaves them 1 action point. Let's see if they can turn on another roll of a 4, 5, or 6. Get a 2. They fail it, but still nothing lost there. What are we going to do here with SLC number 3? Let's see. Gosh, I don't want to run them right in front of the harbor entrance. That would kill them. So they got to turn away. This was not good thinking on our part. Let's have them spend 1 action point to move forward, and then we're going to see if they can spend 1 more action point to turn away from the harbor entrance here. On a 4, 5, or 6, they will succeed. A 4, they succeed. So Davide and Ray turn away from the harbor entrance and start to navigate towards this cargo ship on the side of the entrance here. Now let's go check out SLC number 2 and figure out what they're going to do. This is our bold maneuver. This, I think, is really going to test the resolve and luck and fortitude of Waliche and Lille. They have to get inside the harbor here, and time's a-ticking down. Now what we're going to do then is they're going to spend 1 point and move forward on this. Now, that's an automatic one, so they're submerged, that's fine, they can do that. Now they have to try to get through the anti-torpedo net. Because they're submerged, they need an operational roll of a 6. Odds are extremely rare, but if they can do it, that would mean that they don't get hit by those mortars as they're trying to get through the anti-torpedo net. A 6 here would be huge for us. Let's see what happens. 2, they don't get through the torpedo net. Okay, so they will be able to get through it next turn, unless they get stunned. Now we go to the harbor defenses. All right, as we're getting into the heavy action here, let's pull these live on camera. This is getting a little bit tense. We're going to do the searchlights first. SLC number 1, need a 10 or less to stay undetected, a 7. I'm a little bit concerned because we're about to be, just from a game perspective, we're about halfway through the deck. We've picked a lot of low numbers, so I know there's a lot of high numbers left. SLC number 2 with the searchlights, a 9. That's good to get rid of that high number and not have it fail us here. Let's go to SLC number 3, the searchlights. 4. Oh, we could have used that 4 going through the torpedo nets here. So we survived the searchlight phase. Now let's go to the patrol craft response phase. Everybody's submerged, nobody's detected. We're all outside of the harbor. So 10s or less are needed to detect us. SLC number 1, Valeri and Ape, gets an 8. They survive. SLC number 2 is a big one. Let's get them in the harbor. An 8. They're okay. SLC number 3, 6. Oh, we could have used that one. They are okay. Okay, so this one has to move randomly. Let's see what it does. Gets an 8, stays where it is. They're not doing very much, are they, the patrol craft here? Okay, now comes the big pull. We need to see if SLC number 2, Waliche and Lille, who have done admirably so far, to see if they get hit by shore-based mortars. Now, this is a tough pull. We're submerged, so we need a 6 or less to not get hit. I don't feel like there's many of those in the deck left. This doesn't feel very good. They get 6. Woo-hoo! They survive. They do not get hit by mortars. We can get them inside the harbor on the next turn. This is looking pretty good. I mean, fingers crossed, because their SLC is the only one that apparently breaks on this mission. But that ends this. Now we're going to clean up this phase. This patrol craft is further than 4 squares away, so it goes in kind of hibernation mode and is removed from the board. Now it's time to go to the 3 a.m. turn. Let's go to see which one of our SLCs breaks here. Clear this off. Oh my goodness, seriously? SLC number 2 again, of course. What else would it be? Can't believe we've rolled 6 2s in a row. What is wrong with SLC number 2? It just keeps breaking. Now, this actually is American, because if they get another battery fault and they can't fix it, they can't move, and that's the end of the mission for them. Could break their warhead. There is still a couple more breathing gear faults in here, which would be equally nasty, and transmission faults. Ballast tank isn't good. Transmission, by the way, means you can't move. What do we get? Or your movement is limited to 1. Transmission faults. Okay. Okay. Actually, this is something I don't think I ever really kind of quite realized, that with a transmission fault, it doesn't mean you have 1 action point. It just means you can't do a full move. So they can still use 2 action points, and they can still go through that torpedo net if they get that. But hopefully, we can fix it here. Maybe they don't need full moves yet, because they're actually fairly close to their targets here. So, but can they fix it? Enough of this. They need a 5 or 6 to fix it. Oh, they are. I mean, I'm glad they're the one that keeps running, because they seem to be fixing just everything. This is crazy dice rolling here. SLC transmission fault is dispatched with ease by Waliche and Lille. Now it is our turn in 3 a.m. to see what we can do. All right, let's start with SLC number 1, Valeri and Ape. They're going to try to use their piloting skill to try to make a turn here. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to succeed. A 5, excellent. So they make a turn, and then what they're going to do is they're going to spend 1 of their last remaining action point. They're going to move ahead 1, which allows them in the next turn to try to move ahead 1 and sneak through the torpedo net again, just like Waliche and Lille did. SLC number 2 is going to move ahead full 2 and expend both of their points. I think they're going to have enough time that we don't have to rush it too much to have them go forward there. Actually, I'm going to take that back. They're going to move ahead with 1 automatically, and then they're going to try an operational pilot skill to move ahead full with 2, because that would put them right in position to turn on that cargo ship. So they need a 4, 5, or 6 to succeed. A 3, they fail. Okay, well, nothing ventured, nothing lost there. SLC number 2, Waliche and Lille. They're not going to mess around with the torpedo nets. They're going to spend their full 2 action points and slide through the torpedo net and get into the harbor. Now they are sitting in a very target-rich environment and it's only 3 a.m. Dare we dream that they could perhaps slide over to this corner here and take out the battleship Nelson or one of these aircraft carriers? It's getting interesting, but as they get inside the harbor, things get a lot more dangerous. Let's do the enemy response now. All right, let's do our detection pulls here. Searchlights on SLC number 1 is a 3, nothing there. Searchlights SLC number 2, please no, 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 no. A 2, the lowest one possible, that's good. Searchlights on SLC number 3, a 10. Ooh, they need an 11, we're just safe. Let's go to patrol craft now. I'm really hopeful that SLC number 2 can stay undetected. That would be excellent. SLC number 1, patrol craft, an 11. Ugh. I mean, it's about time. We've had some really low pulls here. We've been pretty lucky. So the patrol craft shows up right in, that's not a good place for it to show up right in front of SLC number 1. SLC number 2 gets a 7. That's good, so they stay undetected. SLC number 3 gets a 9. They stay undetected as well. And that brings us exactly halfway through the mission. So we're going to stop here and come back and finish up this mission in our next episode. We should be back in a few days. In the meantime, if you're looking for something completely different, why not check out our replay of Agincourt, the Battle of Agincourt with the Men of Iron Tri-Pack. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care.